Some of you may have seen the advert to sign up for CBT on Mid-Paris Mind's website, and a few people have asked me to explain what is CBT again and how it can help. So I thought I'd do a little recap today and tell you a little bit more about what CBT is and whether it's for you. So CBT is short for cognitive behavior therapy. So the first part of that is cognitive, and that means that people's emotional reactions and behavior are strongly influenced by their cognitions, or in other words, their thoughts. So cognitions is a posh word for thoughts, okay? So if we ask ourselves, for example, what makes us happy or sad, most of us will give examples of people or situations. For example, I'm fed up because I just had a row with my partner, or I'm sad because I can see no end in sight to the pandemic, or I'm happy when I'm at the beach. However, it's not quite as simple as that. It's not the event that gave rise to those emotions and make us feel a certain way, because if it was the event, we would all feel the same way about all events. So what happens is that we all react differently to the same event, okay? So even events like a bereavement or a loss or a relationship breakup, something as simple as a wet day like today, a rainy day, we all have a different emotional reaction to those things. So it can't be the event that causes the emotion, okay? It's got to be something else. So if it's not the event that's upsetting us or making us happy, then what is it? Now, CBT says that it's our thinking that affects how we interpret a situation. So, when two people react differently to the same event, it's because they're thinking about it differently. Okay, it sounds very, very simple in practice. So, when someone reacts in an unusual way to an event, it's because their thinking is completely different to other people. So, it makes them look unusual. A good example of this right now is the different meaning and viewpoint that people are putting on the pandemic rules, for example. I've heard some people saying that young people should not be out and about and they should be indoors, respecting COVID rules. And then somebody else is saying young people are just trying to live their lives and find connection with others. And it's the way we are seeing it is because of the thinking that we are having in that moment. There's absolutely no right or wrong answer to anything. It's just our thinking about it that makes it so. And this can be really hard to hear for a lot of people because of a lot of us think that just because we have thoughts about something, that it must be true because we're having those thoughts. But those are just our own personal thinking. So when you start using CBT as a therapy, which you've asked about, then you will start by looking at your thinking and finding out whether everything you think is true. Okay. There's a really famous quote now that Becca's just going to put up for us on the screen by Epictetus. I hope I've pronounced that correctly, probably haven't. And this famous quote, it says that it's not the events that disturb the minds of men, but the view they take of them. So it's not what's actually going on out there that's disturbing our mindset, it's how we feel and how we think about it. So it's our thoughts about situations rather than the situations that causes us the stress. It's not the situations or events themselves, but understanding of what is happening and whether we think we can cope with it. And this is an important distinction to make. You could say that we are trapped inside our own heads where our thinking takes place, and CBT helps us to look at the kinds of repetitive thoughts that we have and to try and help us change the way we think and so change the way we feel. The Silver Cloud program has a great section on examining our thoughts, and it's really worth giving that a go. And I brought something from the program to show you today, and it's a quiz. And Becca's going to put one of the questions from the quiz up for you now on the screen. And the question is, a lot of our thinking happens without us being aware of it. Is that true or false? So a lot of our thinking is happening without us even noticing. Do you think that's true, or do you think you're aware of every single thought you have? Well, the answer to that is true because much of our mental activity is either unconscious or automatic. In other words, we've been thinking this way for such a long time that our reactions to things become automatic. So CBT helps you explore these automatic thoughts and it creates a pause in the constant stream of thinking. So hang on, I'm thinking about the same thing again. I'm thinking the same way about people over and over again. And our mental activity is unconscious and automatic, okay? But we can notice a lot of our automatic thinking if we try and tune into it. And this is quite a hard thing for people to do when they're beginning, because we all think that the stuff that goes on in our minds is just who we are. And it takes a while for us to realize it's just our thinking mindset. And you might be quite surprised actually to to find out what you're actually saying to yourself and how repetitive your thoughts are. Another good question that we ask ourselves is that Becca's going to put up for us now is another true or false, is thoughts can directly influence our physical body reactions and feelings. So do you think that thoughts can directly influence your physical body, your reactions, and how you feel about things? Is that true or false? And of course, it's true, because our thoughts and our physical body are closely connected. And Becca's going to put up the answer here. Our thoughts and physical body are closely connected. For example, reading about or imagining a frightening scene can lead to an increased heart rate. Many athletes mentally rehearse their performance before the actual event, and this vivid imagining actually causes minute muscle contractions, that reflect the actual muscle movements they will make in the race. So they're practicing beforehand. So CBT helps us understand how important thinking is to examine. So we feel what is on our minds, okay? We feel in our bodies what is on our minds. There's a real close connection between the two. So we can hear on the news something scary, okay? We can see something scary in the news and our heart rate increases, even though we sat at home in the warm, in the dry, on the settee. Our heart rate increases because our body is reacting to something that's come up in our mind, to something we've seen on the TV. So our body is reacting to what's on our mind. The first time I heard that, I was pretty blown away to know that I was feeling that was on my mind, that my body was reacting to what was on my mind. I just, I thought that couldn't be true. So I thought I'd actually go ahead and try and find out whether that was true. So, I felt, if I felt scared, then it's because I had a scary thought, and that was it. I thought, no, I'm actually scared by the potential of that event happening and all this kind of stuff. But it was actually, I was scaring myself with scary thoughts. Um, I felt happy once because I was going to visit my mum, but actually I felt happy because I had a happy thought that I was going to visit my mum. Our thinking determines our feeling state, not the external event. So going to see my mum was the external event, but my thinking about it was, oh great, I'm going to see my mum, I'm going to have some food with her. And my happy thoughts came from my own thinking. The, the fact was I was just going to see my mum. For some people that would be really problematic. For me, it's good. So it's, the implications of this kind of approach are really big, knowing that it's our thinking that contributes to how we experience life. um, if I was feeling emotional, I started to understand the connection between what was on my mind and the emotion I was feeling. So now I've learned a new trick. Instead of saying I'm angry, for example, I've started saying I'm having angry thoughts at the moment. Or instead of saying I'm nervous, I've started saying I'm having nervous thoughts at the moment, because it puts some separation between me and the emotion. So it's not like I'm nervous, that's all I am. I'm actually experiencing in my body nervous thinking. And that enables me to have some breathing space. I went to the hospital this week for an appointment and I was sat there in the waiting room. My stomach was flipping over and I stopped myself and I said to myself, not out loud, obviously, you're feeling what's on your mind. You're experiencing nervous and scared thinking. I was like, oh yeah, that's what's going on. That's all that's happening. I'm just experiencing nervous and scared thinking. And I could feel my body start to calm down a little bit when it understood what was going on. I hadn't even seen the doctor. My stomach was flipping over because I was thinking and believing and imagining scenarios that hadn't even happened. I was just sat listening to Radio 1 in the waiting area. So do you see what I mean? Once you become aware of your thinking and how it affects you, that's really the nub of CBT. So when you come to see us, or you come to see Jenny or myself, or we take you through the program, we'll look at all this thinking that you do, and what that means for you and your own particular repetitive thinking. And the whole point is just to become aware of what's going on in your head, so you're not a victim of your own repetitive or automatic thinking patterns. And the second part of CBT is behavior, so cognitive and behavior therapy. And so the behavior part of CBT looks at what we do and how we act. So in CBT, we look at a thought, feeling, and behavior cycle, a TFB cycle, they call one. And Becca's going to put a little picture of a little cycle now up for us on the screen. Hope you can see that. Um, and this example is of somebody with social anxiety. So you can see the kind of thoughts this person's having and how that's making them feel and how that's making them act. So the three things are always connected. If you want to say, we all live in little TFB cycles all day long. We just walk around in a thought, feeling, behavior cycle. We think something, or we feel something, and then we behave in a certain way. So we're going around in these little loops that we experience all day. And that picture is a really good one to show you what the connection is and how they all connect together. And the Silver Cloud program spends a long time going through your TFB cycle. And Jenny, the other half of my job, Jenny, she did a lovely video on this TFB cycle a few weeks ago. So if you wanted to know more about that, you could rewatch her video. So sometimes what we do, for example, as a result of angry thinking, it's not helpful. So our thinking influences our behavior. So that's the behavior part of CBT. So the trick is to break out of the cycle, this TFB cycle, okay, to break out the thoughts affecting our feelings and behavior. So we need to be either aware of our thinking, our feelings, or our behavior. We choose one of the things in the cycle, okay? Now, if we notice that we're having angry thoughts, then we can do something about it before we act on them. But if we've missed the angry thoughts and our behavior is already aggressive, then we can spot a behavior, then we can pull back and notice that we let our thinking dominate our mindset and drive our behavior forward. Or if we start to feel, I'm getting really anxious, you can just feel the symptoms of anxiety, you know that you've missed the thinking, so you've missed that chance, you're into emotion. So then we deal with the emotion at that level. So you can choose which part of the TFB cycle that you try and influence. And we help you do that through the Silver Cloud program. Because getting the hang of doing the TFB cycle and understanding your own cycle, it takes a bit of work to learn how to do it. But when you get the hang of it, you can really start to notice that you're feeling what's on your mind and the link between all of these things. So I hope that's been useful. It was just a really short roundup today to explain the difference, what CBT is, the cognitive and the behavioural aspects, and how Silver Cloud CBT can help you with this kind of thing, and you can look at it in more detail on the program, and we'd be both really happy to guide you through it. Next week we'll pick a different topic and we'll go in more depth about something. And if anybody wants a specific topic, please write in the comments on Facebook, and we'll answer those comments and do a broadcast specially for you. So thanks very much, everybody, and have a good week, and I'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye.